bull in a china shop. Powerful, passionate, driven, but often destructive. That was most of my professional career. I've spent time as a 3-time CEO, I've run organizations, drive for mission, and now I've transitioned and I'm working with other CEOs, other bulls. I want you to think about this persona of bull and then quickly shift to the herds that you're in. We each are in collection of bulls, our family, our church, our classmates, our organization in which we work, and there are these herds. When we think of herd, we have the protection of the herd, the safety, the belonging. I also want you to think about this concept. If we have powerful, passionate bulls inside the herd, what the herd can become. So when we think of this herd mentality, we have to first realize that the herd's made up of bulls, and that for me, bull is a gender-neutral term. I got most of my bull persona from my mom, who was a college professor, who always was driving us to perform, be passionate, work hard. And this concept of bull for me is this inner power and strength that we all can bring. But as I work with CEOs, business leaders, organizations, you find inside of herds, there are 3 types of bulls. The first are bulls that are in the ring. Angry, bitter, disgruntled, bloodied, hurt. They hurt others. They are engaged and passionate, but in a negative, destructive way. As you think about your own herds, your family, your organization, work groups, do you have these bulls in your herd? What do they do to the herd? We also have these bulls that are led by the ring, helpless, hapless, waiting for direction, sitting on the sideline. It's the proverbial herd mentality we all just kind of follow. We have this concept of a ring in the nose that we have to clamp something into and guide them to water, to food, to work, to passion. We also have bulls that I talk about that are ringing the bell. This concept of ringing the bell is one that is full of passion, power, celebrating life, looking for opportunities to celebrate and bring passion to the herd. So, if we think about this collection in our herds, and think about each of our herds as a rowboat. Gallup Poll does this every year. They've done it for 20 years, since 1997. They look at the state of the American workforce, and they put them all in this little rowboat. Here are our bulls. We have these bulls at the front of the rowboat that are ringing the bell. Passionate, driven, excited. For 20 years, that number has barely eclipsed 30% of the American workforce. Only 1 in 3 workers in America is excited about going to work today. 50%, the middle 5 of all of these bulls in the rowboat, going through the motions, looking at their watch. When do we get off work today? We're out here on a bright sunny day, why row? We have to guide them, drive them to be passionate. And then these last 2, angry, bitter, disgruntled bulls. Steam coming out of their noses, here pictured driving holes in our rowboat, hitting each other with oars, the other bulls with oars, rowing backwards. We have all of these bulls in our herd, in our rowboat. When we think about our organization as this rowboat and say, how do we move forward? How do we harness the power of all the bulls in our organization? We pause for a minute and say, the key driver that moves our organization forward is this compelling vision that we're all here together, that this herd can be more than the collection of our individual selves and persona, and that this clear vision compels us, like a magnet, to be drawn into the herd, to belong to the herd, to take part of what's going on in this organization. If it's a magnet that compels, I'll also urge you to think about, can this vision repel? So I went to the U.S. Naval Academy. The vision of the U.S. Naval Academy is to prepare midshipmen mentally, morally, and physically to be naval officers. For a group of 18 and 19-year-old men and women, that's very compelling. Equally, for a group of 18 and 19-year-old women, that's repelling. So the vision of your organization sets this magnet, draws the right people in, pushes the wrong people away. Great example of that is Southwest Airlines. To connect people with what's most important in their lives. That's the reason they exist, they say. To connect people with what's most important in their lives. They go on to say, we will be the most loved, most flown, most profitable airline in the world. You are either compelled to be part of that or you're repelled and would rather go work for another airline. What also helps us harness the power of our herd is this concept of values. Inside our families, inside our church organizations, inside our workplace, inside our work teams, we have this written or unwritten set of values. Too often in organizations, they're table stakes. There we will be trusting, we'll be honest, we'll work hard. Words on a wall that have no meaning, or they're so aspirational that we can never get there. These core values instead need to be things like, we're willing to sweep floors. It's a statement inside the organization that everyone understands, that connotes or drives everyone to say, there's nothing beneath any of us, we're all willing to work hard, and we can talk about it before people come into our organization, we can measure them against it, and we can ask them to leave when they can't act in accordance with that behavior. So it should describe in meaningful ways the values that exist inside your herd. Things like, we all kill our own spiders. We don't bring someone into our office to kill this spider or take care of this problem. We take care of it ourselves. So these values should describe how we act and behave inside the herd and hold us all to a standard of behavior. The third area in which we look at and say, how do I harness the power of our herd? We set meaningful, high expectations. The place that that's most evident is sports teams. There are a collection of sports teams every year, the Royals a couple years ago, that start the season with an expectation of winning the World Series, the Super Bowl, the national championship. There's also a set of organizations that say, we hope we break 500. Where are your herds? If you think about organizations, there are plenty that say we have this high expectation and high standard. There's others that are going through the motion, and there's others that are dysfunctional. If you think about these values and expectations in your organization, they drive behavior, and it can become circular, chicken and egg, which came first. Great example of that is a school called Chicago Urban Prep. All black school on the south side of Chicago, all male, they wear uniforms, and they start every day reciting this creed. Starts with, we believe. Third line is, we are college bound. Last line is, we believe. Scattered in there, we make no excuses, we are a brother's keeper. It starts with an expectation before you join the school that you are college bound. You recite it and say it every day, and the school holds you accountable for that expectation. 7 years in a row, 100% college acceptance for an all-male south side of Chicago high school. What expectation do you have inside your organizations and your herds? And the last area is engagement. Gallup Poll every year talks about engagement is the problem inside our organizations, inside our workplace, that we don't meet our people, our bulls, in a meaningful way. In my travels, what you see that works and drives engagement is organizations that meet regularly all hands that drive with clarity, reinforcement, and real meaning. Here's our vision, here's our values, here's the expectation. Here's how we did this month, this quarter, this year, against our vision, our values, and our expectations. They engage in meaningful ways. They find ways to move beyond the business and eat together. So when I look at thriving organizations, they eat together. U.S. Naval Academy, every day, 3 meals a day, 4,000 midshipmen sit down and eat together. All organizations thrive when you see that engagement beyond the workday. And then lastly, as organizations, as leaders, as everyone in the organization, we need to find ways to meet one-on-one, to nurture and grow and mentor our bulls in meaningful ways. So we have this herd. You all are in multiple herds. I'm in my family, I'm in a workplace, I'm working with clients. Whatever this collection or interaction that you have with other bulls is driven by these 4 things. How compelling a vision, what draws people into this herd and keeps them coming, what values have we established, and do we act and behave this way regularly? Do we set high expectations, and do we engage in meaningful ways? Also remember that we're all bulls. We have a choice every day. How we come at the world, we can come at the world in a way that says, I'm angry, bitter, and disgruntled, I'm in the ring. We can come at the world as, I'm going through the motions, helpless, hapless, status quo. Or I can come at the world saying, it's worth celebrating today. I can do something passionate and powerful. I can move my organization forward. It's a choice. So I ask you all to think about the choice and ring the bell today and the next day. Thank you.